So today, oops, we're going to do a little bit of a revisit of this this old 228F, not F, but it's not even have a letter on it actually. This is the one from the mid 30s that we worked on just a week or two ago. You know, when we started it off, I kind of had some yellow burning mantles in which they kind of cleared up after a while, but then actually never really did as well as I would like. And there were still some marks on the mantles, and it's just not burning quite as clean as I'd like it to. And the other thing too is that when it is actually running, it has kind of an acrid smell to it, and it's kind of that sharp kind of smell, which is uncharacteristic of Coleman's, because generally speaking they all burn very, very clean and don't really have much smell at all. That acrid kind of smell is probably nitric oxide that I'm smelling from incomplete combustion, and which would be like why we're kind of seeing kind of yellowish type of flames and stuff like that. And it's just not, it just doesn't smell right, and it does smell that for a while. So what we're going to do today is that we're going to take it apart, because I didn't really get into the burner tubes on this because they look pretty good, so I didn't really mess with them. So maybe we should have messed with them. So that's what we're going to do. And we'll start off by removing the vent, and getting the burner tube off of here will actually really be quite easy, because and see, everything's clean underneath here. It doesn't look those two marks that are on there, those are permanent, they won't come off. Well, maybe if I worked on it with a little bit of polish and some steel wool, they might, but at any rate, it didn't put those on there. I'm not really getting any other carbon on there except from the very first startup. So we're just going to set this out of the way over here and remove the globe. And this is where you can kind of probably start to see the issue. So if you look at how these mantles look right here, they are kind of spotted and they don't look very good, and they shouldn't have any of that on there. And it's just like the mantle isn't getting hot enough to completely burn everything off. So again, another reason to use, when you're starting up one of these for the first time, don't use your fancy silk lights that you have a limited supply of. Use like the Coleman 21s that you've got, or some of the peerless mantles or something that are easily replaceable. So because what we're going to do here, first thing we're gonna wreck these mantles off of here, and we'll start also by releasing the pressure. So that's a pretty good sign right there. So that fount has been pressurized since the last time, since that video was made. So it's held pressure that long, so that's excellent. It shows that we don't have any kind of leaks in here, or the valve or anything like that, so that's great. So let's just go ahead and get to wrecking the mantles off of here. And once we do that, we'll pull the burner tube off. And to do that, we're going to have to remove the generator, and I have to dump these off to the side. Got my fan sitting here on an old mic stand, so hopefully we're not blowing into the mic, and I am also a lot more comfortable, so hopefully that will kind of continue. Let's see, so we'll pull generator first. The other possibility for it not burning right might be the need of a new generator, but it really looked pretty darn good. It didn't seem to have any kind of, it had a little bit of residue and buildup, but nothing that I would look at it and say, gee, I need a new one here. And it looks relatively new too. I mean, I know we did some cleanup work on it, but yeah, it looks like it's in pretty good shape. So I don't think that's it, because really what you have, I think, when you get bad smells like that, or acrid smells, it is more of a fuel air mix problem rather than not enough fuel. So we'll get this out of here. Pull it out. Yeah, because the tip cleaner goes right up in there and moves everything nice and easy, so that's not a problem. I have a feeling there's something that's in here in these tubes, and it'll be interesting to see if I can get them loose. So yeah, this may be where I normally say this might be a short video, because if I get to the point here to where I can't get the tubes out, then I'm gonna have to come up with something else to kind of remove them. Well, this is coming out of here a lot harder than it did the last time, which leads me to believe that whoever had done the paint job on this had basically put it together and then never fired it. Okay, so this should come out nice and easy. Okay, I did not remember running one of these up here, so we'll do that, which is just basically, and see, like these screens look really bad. This may be the problem right here. The screens are almost completely blocked. Well, I didn't even see that. And they're not coming off for love or money, but you may be able to see it, I'm not sure, but the screens are really pretty blocked. But we'll run this in here just for good measure. Don't see anything there. That seems to be not pulling anything there. But this, I think, maybe where our problem is. Yeah, so should have looked at this the first time. But yeah, they looked pretty occluded. So they still looks pretty blocked up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get one of my dental tools and start poking through some of these holes, see if I can get anything to go through. Yeah, I think this is where our problem is for sure. Yeah. Yep. It's gonna have to be this. That's gotta be why it's not getting anything coming through. I really wish I had a good way to get these off, but boy, they have been on there for many years and nothing is wanting to move them. And I'm not super fired up about taking them off. So yeah, I don't think I really want to get into that. I think I would much rather just kind of poke at the spaces in between here and try to loosen up whatever carbon is in here and see if we can't get it to go that way. Yeah, this is going to be a bit of a process here. I wish I had a brush that had a little straighter teeth on it, you know, because as you use these things, they kind of get a little bit mangled and smashed. So we'll just kind of gently work on this a little bit and see if we can't free some of that up some. So yeah, that should have been one of the things I looked at and I did not. So, but luckily this is not a huge problem to fix. What I may actually do, oh man, will that fit in there? This would be a great case for the ultrasonic. Let's see if we can get it to fit. Because if we can, so close. It just is a little bit short. So I think if I put some more water in there though, we should be good. So let me go ahead and go my exit stage left here for a minute and get some more water to pour in there. Yeah, this is why I really like a ultrasonic cleaner, because you can go and get into these spaces that you would normally just not be able to get into. And that has it submerged. So we're going to go ahead and hit the ultrasonics on it and we'll come back here once that's clean, because this is going to be too noisy to talk over. So we'll check you back in a minute. Okay, so we've had it in the ultrasonic, excuse me, I'll do a little bit of housekeeping here. Had it in the ultrasonic for a few minutes, and the screens look a whole lot better than they were. So they look like that now, which is good. I then blew it out with high pressure compressed air to kind of dry it out so we can reassemble and see how it works. So I think we're in pretty good shape right now, so we can get it reassembled, but it definitely looks better. I also flushed it with a bunch of water, stuck that up in the tap, plugged up that hole, and just, you know, alternated blowing significant amounts of water through both sides. So is it going to fix it? Well, gosh, I hope so. We'll have to see. I think we couldn't have hurt it. And you know, I've already looked through this little tiny piece of pipe here. There's nothing blocking it, but just, you know, just to show, I mean, it just basically goes right through. The pipe is a very short piece. It's maybe an inch long or so. Yeah, stand away from that fan for a minute as I was doing all this other stuff, and boy, it doesn't take long to start dripping. So hopefully it'll cool back off here in a minute. So we'll get this screwed back down in here. Should be about right there, yeah. Little fiddly screws. You know, I kind of really wish they would have made a screwdriver hole right through the side of this, which would have made things a whole lot easier. But they didn't, so you have to do this kind of weird angled mess here to hope that works. Okay, and we'll go ahead and take a look back at this, get this in here, get the, you know, I always do this backwards because that's the easy way to do it, right? Instead of sticking up in the hole where it needs to go, so then you can have to fiddle with this here. So let me just go ahead and get that on there, pull it down. All right, we're looking good, making some progress. All right. Yeah, this nut doesn't necessarily exactly fit just right. Fits close. On one side it's a little bigger. Okay, I think that's probably good. We're gonna go ahead and pump this up. That's probably good. We're gonna turn this on, listen for the spit, which comes really quick. And so that's the other thing too, is like when you hear the fuel spit that quickly, it's probably unlikely that you've got a blocked or plugged generator problem. If this doesn't really work quite right, my next step would be to put a new generator in it, because maybe the tip is worn for whatever reason. I would find that unusual, but it might be. So that means the fuel mixture would be too rich. So then getting a new generator in there would get us something back down to the regular size, and hopefully that works. So we're gonna turn off the fan here for a moment, light our match. For those of you who don't know, these matches will not light any other way. I've tried rubbing them on a grinding wheel even, and that doesn't do it. So, oh yeah, that's remarkably different than last time. So I'm not gonna go any more than that, because I don't want to get this so hot I can't put anything on it. So back to the mantles, right? So let's see, I think I got 2 more of these Peerless left, but let's throw on some of the Colemans, because I'm just kind of interested to see how they compare, since I just recently put some of these Peerless on here. And these are just the regular run-of-the-mill current production Colemans. So they're as many people say, that you almost got a chance of having a hole in them as not. So apparently there's been some quality control issues, but anyway. All right. I think we're gonna just go ahead and speed this part up. Okay, there we go. Ready to burn. And I think what I'm going to do with this is kill the fan. Unfortunately, again, we're going to light my torch with my other torch and burn off the mantles here. I think in the past we've kind of talked about how people talk about, oh, you really should only light off the mantles with a match and not a torch because it turns them black. Well, the fact is that your mantles are always going to turn black because that's just the char that's in them, but they will go white eventually, right? So don't worry about it. It will eventually get there. Of course, don't breathe the smoke. Maybe I can use my fan here to kind of move a little bit away from me without hopefully damaging the mantles. When they're in this state right here, as I mentioned last time, they're extremely fragile. And it's because, like, basically the rayon that is underneath there, that's all of the rare earth elements that are on, is been burned off, but you don't have those elements kind of centered together yet from the heat from the lantern. So right now in this stage, if I move this, you can see them wiggle and jiggle. And this is why I always talk about you need to give it 30 minutes runtime for it to actually get the mantles properly burnt in and running. So, all right, that's probably close enough here for right now. We're going to go ahead and light. We should have better results this time, I think. Okay. Put this all the way now. So when I open this, I can hear the little pop of the spring pickup move. So that's why I figured that everything is working good in that department. I'm still not getting light all the way down to the bottom. Maybe we're just a little low on air pressure, so we'll give it a few more of these. See where we end up. Yeah, it's still showing a little, it looks better for sure. It looks better than it did. It's still showing at the bottom of this, it's not really getting down there to the bottom. So let me put this on here for extra heat effect and take a look. So yeah, it's definitely not going down to the bottom like I would expect it to see, to have the mantle fully lit all the way down to the bottom, which is a little bit annoying. So it tells me there's still some sort of a fuel delivery problem. The smell really isn't that much changed. So we may have done a bit of work here for no real benefit. I'm gonna put this on here to kind of help with the heat retention. It's one of the things that, yeah, you can always burn them in open air, but they're designed to be enclosed, and that heat helps make everything work a little bit better. So I try not to pass judgment on these things until they've been completely fully assembled and run in for a minute. So I mean, it certainly sounds like it's supposed to. It looks like it's supposed to a certain extent, but man, I'm still just not real happy with it. The bottom of this, and I'd love to show you on the camera, but the camera will just get absolutely, completely blown away with the brightness of the mantle, so you won't be able to see what I'm seeing here. It is getting a little bit better as she runs, so maybe we'll just let it run for a bit and see how it goes. The smell, it's better, but it's still a little bit acrid, so it still smells like a little bit of incomplete combustion, although it's not nearly as bad as I expected it to be as it was last time, so I guess that part's good. Give this a spin or two. So I have two theories at this point as to what we could do next. So there'll be probably another episode on this one. So the two theories would be, number one, probably the easiest, is to replace the generator and see how that works. But it almost seems, when I'm not seeing the mantles fully illuminated all the way to the bottom, that kind of feels more like I need more fuel rather than less problem. So I'm not sure if the generator is going to really make a difference. The only other thing that I haven't done is I have not pulled the valve out of the fount. I just pulled the tip cleaner off because I was like, I really don't want to get that far down into it and mess with it and see what happens. And generally, if I don't have to pull a valve, I really don't like to, because it does put a fair bit of stress on everything. And since this one's so old, I'd probably have to heat up that fitting pretty hot, and then that may cause problems with the graphite packing. Although I do have one of those, the tip cleaner will be out, so maybe that's not entirely a bad thing. And go from there, because the only other thing I can think of is like maybe the fuel pick in the bottom is partially blocked or occluded, and it's not pulling up as much fuel as it would like to have. Now I have to say, as it's sitting here going, they are getting more strongly lit down to the bottom, and like I said, I'm going to let this run like at least 30 minutes until we get these fully sintered in here. So it's been on here probably just for a few minutes now, and we'll see where it goes from there. So for right now, I think we're just going to go ahead and tie a bow on this one. We're going to see how it ends up running. I'll probably put in the notes for the video what happens, because you probably don't want to sit here and watch this thing for the next 30 minutes to see if it changes. But I'll tell you what happens with it and how it goes, and if I'm going to go any further with it. It's kind of... Yeah, it still has that kind of bitter, acrid smell to it, which it just shouldn't have. So there's something that's still not quite right. It's improved, but it's still not quite right. So maybe the generator is the right thing. And the good thing about the generator is it's an easy swap. You put it in. If it doesn't change it, then you just take it out and you save that as for the next one that needs a generator. I had several here, but I think for one, my drawer is not letting me in. But I don't have any of that series generator in here, unfortunately. I got one for a 200. But not for the 228. So anyway, the other thing that's a little bit interesting on this is I'm hearing it kind of do a little bit of chugging in here, and usually what that means is that there's a little bit of fuel trying to force its way back down into the fount, and you kind of hear a little bit of a chug. I had a 236 that did that same thing, and that just required some more packing around the generator to stop that. So it's not doing it much. You might be able to hear it, and it's kind of making the flame flicker a little bit too. So kind of interesting. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, I'll let you know what I find out, and we'll see where we end up with this one the next time. So, until then, keep them lit.